Welcome to America at Play. I'm your host, Butch Cons, with my co-host and brother, Tony Cons, better known as T-Bone in baseball. Our special guest, Larry Fontaine, was unable to make it, so it's going to be just the two of us, and we're going to talk sports, starting with the NBA playoffs. Tony, what's your
Yes.
thought? What's your thought? Who do you see in the NBA playoffs on the Eastern Conference? Who do you see? Not just Eastern Conference. Yeah, Eastern Conference. Who do you see as the sleeper?
Honestly, not because I'm from here, but the Pistons are a sleeper team.
Why do you say that?
They play a rough style of basketball, right? They've got a
I
reputation now, and
well, it's
they're
funny you say
they're
that.
hard nosed.
It's funny you say that because that's who I have as my sleeper too.
Yeah.
They remind me a lot of the old team that won 2 championships in a row with
Yep.
Rick Mahorn and Bill Lambier. Um, they use their bodies, and you're right, they're rough. So
It's a culture.
it's a lot of a lot in today's sports world, especially like NBA. A lot of the players are pussies. If you touch them, they scream foul, but they think they
LeBron
can take 5
James.
steps and not get called. Well, they
You
think
see
they
some
can
of those
take
videos of
5 steps
LeBron?
without getting a call. Oh, I know. He's an idiot. I mean, he's just turned into being a first class jackass.
You know something,
So
and I understand. The younger generation, the 18 to 25-year-olds, like to argue that he's the best basketball player ever, and that just simply isn't the
Michael
case.
Jordan.
Well, I would give you several that are better than LeBron James. That LeBron James
I agree.
couldn't play their style of game. Michael Jordan obviously is the greatest of all time, right? But
Right.
Kobe's great, Shaq's great. There's a lot. You
Curry.
know,
I think Curry's great.
listen, he scores.
Yeah.
Le- LeBron travels like crazy, phantom fouls. He's weak. He's an
Yeah.
asshole as
Can you
well.
imagine him playing against back in the day, playing against somebody like Wilt Chamberlain?
How about if he had to go against Lambier and what's his name?
Mahorn?
Mahorn. Could you
Mahorn?
imagine? Could you
Yeah,
imagine?
right. He would be screaming and yelling and crying the whole damn game.
He'd be out of the NBA. Think about what
Yeah,
they used to do to Larry
yeah.
Bird. Think about what they used to do to Larry Bird.
Oh, they used to beat him into the ground.
Yeah.
Larry Bird, nobody with that group, nobody could get inside. They just couldn't get inside
No,
because if they
no.
did, they were going to
The
get an
thing
elbow
is,
to the head.
you think LeBron's gonna fight back the way that Bird fought back?
No,
No,
no.
no.
He's a pussy.
What about Magic Johnson?
Okay. Over.
No, hold on. I don't want to get off of it, but
There's
just
enough.
create
No,
this
no.
question. I mean,
Magic
there's
Johnson's
so
another
many better
very good
basketball
player.
players than LeBron James.
Yep. Yep. He's the best player. He may be the best player, and it's questionable in today's game, but he's not the best player of all time. He's not even close.
I'm not even sure
He's just not.
if he's in the top three of today's game. I don't think he's. I don't think he was in the top three in his peak in the league.
I think he was at one point. Today, I would agree with you. I mean, I definitely put Curry in front of him. I'll tell you what, I like the kid that the Pistons had from Duke, Cunningham. The boy can play,
He's good. He's good.
and that was a really good pick by them.
You want to talk
Um,
playing games real quick?
well, hold on a second. No, let's not pick games yet. Let's stick with what we're talking about. Who do you think the sleeper in the West is? I'll go first on this while you're
Yeah, go
looking
ahead.
over. I think it's the Grizzlies.
Okay.
Again, that's a team that plays pretty physical, and they've got some big guys up front. Um, Teams in the playoffs are going to have a hard time rebounding against those guys, and for that reason, I think I really believe that they could be the sleeper in that group over in the
The
West.
only thing that concerns me is because they're a playing team, they have to play an extra game. So,
That's true.
they got to beat the Warriors to face the winners of the Mavs Kings. There's your extra game.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they win there, I'm just looking at the bracket. If they win there, they would have to face the Thunder. The Thunder. That's tough.
Right.
Facing number one seed.
That's I agree. And here's the thing about facing. I think they could beat the Warriors if Steph Curry isn't dead on his game. If Steph Curry's dead on his game, there's almost nobody in the league that can beat the Warriors.
Which when you got a
It
guy
just depends on where he's
could
at.
step 8 to 10 feet outside the 3-point line and sink them on a consistent basis, it's you can't defend that.
Well, he went to Davidson College down here. That was 10 minutes from my house in Mooresville, and I used to go to games all the time and watch him. And I'm here to tell you that guy is incredible. He was incredible in college. If you remember right, when he was playing for Davidson, they went to the Big Eight.
I didn't even know who he was.
They barely lost.
I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
So
So
my sleeper team,
all right.
I'm gonna go with the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Okay.
Well, here's why. They got the Lakers to start.
Okay.
The Lakers are tired. You got this guy that came from Dallas, right? He's amazing. They just did a big thing for him in Dallas, thanking him when the Lakers visited the Mavs, thanking him for all the time in Dallas. He started crying, right? It's over, man. Like he doesn't want to play, and without him, Lakers can't win. I think they lose in the first round.
Well, and here's the thing too. You got that, plus you've got LeBron James, who probably is a little bit upset because he's not necessarily the top dog on the team anymore.
Uh-huh.
When the Lakers picked him up. So you got a double whammy there. That's actually a really good pick, Tom.
Thanks.
That's a really good pick.
My hate for LeBron James. That's what made that pick motivated.
Well, here's the thing. Like I say, over time he has become an asshole. It's that simple. So, all right. Who gets upset in the first round? Let's go East first.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna let you lead this one. I bet we got the same one, but
I doubt we do. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think the Pistons beating the Knicks is an upset.
Well, according to the standings, it's an upset, and that is who I'm picking.
Yeah, if that's considered an upset, then obviously I'd take them. But I think a bigger upset could possibly be the Celtics losing to either the Magic or the Hawks, whoever wins. I mean, having the Celtics get knocked out pretty quickly too, that could be a big upset.
Can we cut this?
That would be a huge upset.
Pistons are going to win their first game.
Hold on one second. Eileen wants to stop us. Hold on.
Is Tony got something in his mouth because he's not coming clear through? Is there something in his mouth, babe?
Hold on a second.
Can you hear me clear, Butch?
I can hear you clear. I just ended the recording, Eileen.
Recording, baby.
I just did. Tony's clear with me.
He's coming through sounding like there is something in his mouth, but okay.
Like my boyfriend's over?
No, he's clear. No, he's clear as day with me. Can we just
You can't end the recording. I can cut this, but you can't end it.
Okay, she said she could cut this. So where were we? We were talking the upset in the Knicks and the Pistons. You think it'll be the Celtics?
Well, I mean, I have to take the Pistons because that's technically an upset, and I think the Pistons are the sleeper team. But I was just giving you an addition.
In the Pistons have handled the Knicks in the regular season pretty well, both home and away. So, and they just had a game about a week ago, and quite frankly, they kicked the shit out of the Knicks. It wasn't even close.
3 months ago,
by like 12, 14 points.
The league and everybody's complaining what bullies the Pistons are, and they're trash. And now look where they're at.
Right.
They believe in each other.
Well, here's the thing. You got a whole generation of basketball players that were raised not to stand up and fight for themselves. So you got a whole NBA league of a bunch of sissies. Back when Lambeer and Mahorn and Edwards and Dante and Thomas were
Isaiah,
there.
man, Isaiah.
That's why I said Thomas. Yeah,
Oh.
they would. They fought. I mean, they were tough.
Sometimes I'll fall
Even
down.
even other teams. Remember Malone with the Hawks, and then in Washington, that was a guy you didn't want to go to the hoop with because at center, even though he was only 6'10", he'd knock your hat off.
Yeah, because he's
He
big,
was like
thick body.
Lambeer. Yeah, he was a really thick body. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think that's the problem with the NBA today is you got a bunch of little sissies running around.
It's
Oh,
true.
you can't touch me. But as you said about LeBron, I could take 5 steps without putting the ball on the ground.
Uh-huh.
That's not traveling. Well, bullshit. You take 2 steps, and after that, it's traveling.
Which they've gotten
Yeah,
so lackadaisical with the rules. I think some of it's good, but like I don't think you should have your pivot foot placed in one spot where you can't move it an inch. I don't think that's good for the game. But you gotta somewhat keep your pivot foot where it started, right? And the double dribbles in the league, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I fall down these video rabbit holes of NBA players picking up their dribble and start dribbling again. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, this is not basketball at all. These are just
yeah.
travels and double dribbles, but it's because they're trying to create, more dunks and more flashy.
Offense. Yeah,
Yeah. Which is
I
why
know.
nobody likes
I know.
Curry.
Who do
Because
you
there's really no
think
flash in that.
on the West? Um, who do you think gets upset first?
Clippers. Nuggets
Who?
beat the Clippers. Nuggets beat the Clippers. No doubt in my mind.
Okay, so you think the Nuggets upset the Clippers?
I do.
Okay, why?
Well, that's not even true. It's not really an upset because it's 4 versus 5. Let me
Okay, still
retract
not.
that. Let me retract that. I'm gonna go. Wait, we did the West. We need to do the East now. No, we did them both because I picked the Timberwolves. Yeah, we
But
gotta.
that was for the upset. I'm saying who's gonna get upset.
The Lakers are. I'm confused. Where do we go wrong on this?
I think the Lakers are the first team to get upset for exactly what you said earlier. All of the above.
Yeah,
You
agreed.
know, you got a center who's an awesome player. Came over from Dallas, doesn't really want to be there. And you got James who doesn't want him there, and is the biggest crybaby in the league now. And for that, they have no continuity.
Listen, bringing
They have
your
no
child,
continuity.
forcing the Lakers to draft your child so you can dictate that you play with your son. This isn't like Ken Griffey
Yeah.
and Ken Griffey Jr. playing together. This isn't like
Mhm.
Gordie Howe and his kids playing together. Bronny's not good. Okay. And for LeBron to force the Lakers to draft him, right? It's created an issue inside they can hide it all they want, but there's some player that the other players feel deserves to be there and isn't there because Bronny's there. Okay. So
Right.
somebody's not getting their
Exactly.
opportunity because of LeBron James, which makes him a turd, which makes there's no continuity in the locker room. I guarantee you they don't like each other. They certainly they don't like him, I should say.
Right.
So, that, and think about this too. Think about the pressure it's on Bronny to be there, knowing full well he doesn't belong there. That he's there because of nepotism. And again,
Right.
this isn't like Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. You know what I mean?
No. No. Or Prince Fielder and the old man.
Yeah.
Cecil Fielder. Same thing. You had 2 superpowers right there, 2 all-stars.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Um, All right, let's move on. This is the end of the NBA stuff. Who do you think makes the finals?
In the NBA,
Yep.
Thunder coming out of the West. I believe they are the best team.
Agreed.
I believe they are the best team.
Agreed.
And I know I'm being a homer, man, but I think the Pistons come out of the East. I really do.
Do you really? Do
I
you
think they're
really?
better than
Why do you
Cleveland.
think that?
I think they're better. I think their style, again, like I said earlier, I think their style play is very hard to defend, and guys don't want to defend that. Guys don't want to get beat up, you know. So they're not going to participate in that kind of manner, and the Pistons are going to have their way. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons won the whole thing, because the only way they can stop the Pistons if the refs in the NBA don't allow them to play the way they play. That's the only way to
And
stop
that may
this.
very well happen in the playoffs.
Well, it could, because listen, man, you play sports your whole life. The last thing you want to do is
Yep.
get beat up by a bully, right? The last thing you want to do is stick your nose in there knowing damn well you're about to get smacked over and over
Listen,
and over.
until we moved up here, I was still playing in a competitive church league in basketball. Okay, 2 nights a week. And look, I'm not a great basketball player. I know that. It's my worst game. The one thing I can do is play defense and rebound. How? Because I use my body. And even in a church league, I got cussed at a few times because I legally did it, but I knocked people around. And you're right. People don't like that, man. And they don't want to come inside when they know you're on a court because they know that it's a good chance to get their head knocked off.
Yep, I'll tell you two things.
So
I sucked at basketball. I mean, I was bad. I was really bad at basketball, and it wasn't my worst.
so was
it wasn't my worst
so was
sport. I had several that I was way worse at than basketball, and I was terrible at basketball. So there's that. But it goes back to what we talked about earlier. You know, we talked about Larry Bird and Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. These guys that stuck their nose in there that got kicked around by the bad boys. I mean, their nickname was the Bad Boys. Well, the thing is, we're only
Right.
talking about guys that had the backbone and the balls to stick their nose in there. We're not talking about the dozens of guys that just refused to do it, and the Pistons had their way.
What about Vinny? Vinny's another one, or Dumars.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were guards, and nobody wanted to go up against them because they were thick bodies, and
Yeah.
to protect the ball, you're liable to catch an elbow in the teeth, or
Yeah.
if you remember back when the Bad Boys were playing, a lot of players. Pippen's one that I really remember, but a lot of players wore those plastic masks over their face to keep from getting their nose broken.
Rodman wore that.
Yeah.
Listen, man, think about this. Larry Bird, after the play was over, chucked the ball at Rick Mahorn's back in the middle of an NBA playoff game.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now you got
Mahorn
LeBron
laughed
James
at him.
taking
Mahorn
phantom
laughed at him.
fouls. Yeah.
And Mahorn laughed at him. That's what I remember too. He just turned around and laughed at him.
It's such a different game now. And listen, nobody flies like Jordan. Nobody jumps like Jordan.
Right.
You know, so they had to change the rules for him. You know, nobody changed rules for LeBron James.
No. I'm going to finish this off with the NBA. My picks are the Celtics and the Thunder.
Okay.
And the reason I say the Celtics, I believe they're built for the playoffs. I think they're one of those teams that just get to the playoffs, and then we'll turn it up a notch. And I think they've got a notch to turn it up. And so that's my picks. Let's go next to NHL playoffs. I'm sorry, NHL playoffs. Unfortunately, the Wings did another nosedive at the end again this year. I'm sorry, but Yzerman's got to make some big moves and get some talent on that club. They do not have enough talent. It's that simple.
Well, let me
got
ask
a
you
good
this.
coach
Let me
now.
answer this. I have a different perspective.
Yep. Okay.
I think the difference between the Wings being a playoff team and not being a playoff team is goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they get a legit goaltender, like a Chris Osgood, like a Mike Vernon, somebody who is is able to manage the game, take control, stand on their head when they need to. Not all the time, but when they need to. They can be a playoff team. Will they go far in the playoffs? I don't think so, but I think they need a goalie to make the playoffs.
And I know we're not supposed to be talking wings, but that's okay. I halfway agree with you on the goaltending. I thought Talbot was pretty solid for most of the year, although he gave up some weak goals. Okay, but you can always use better goaltending. I think we're short defensively, and especially defensive oriented forwards, for the simple fact we were damn near dead last in shorthanded. We were horrible at it. We couldn't kill a penalty to save our butts. Okay. But you turn around and they're first or second in power play goals.
Yep.
Now, the difference is, and this is again where I think they're short, is we need a sharpshooter. We have an old sharpshooter, which is better than none in Kane. And I say we keep Kane, but we have two lines at best, and that's pushing it. Where when the Wings were winning championships and stuff, our fourth line, the Wings' fourth line, would have been some other team's second line. We don't have that right now. We're not even close to that.
Think about this. And then we'll get into playoffs. But our fourth line was Maltby, Draper, and McCarty. That was our fourth line. No?
Wasn't McCarty. No, McCarty was on the first line with Yzerman. Who the hell was the left winger? No, he was on the first line.
Hold on.
McCarty.
The left winger would have been.
Did we just lose Tony? Stop it. Okay. You had Shanahan.
Yep.
You had Fedorov.
Well, Fedorov was on the second line.
He was on the second line, yeah. Might have been Shanahan who they played on that left wing. Here's the reason I know McCarthy was the right winger, because first of all, he scored almost 30 goals 2 or 3 times. But they put him out there to protect Yzerman. Scotty Bowman put him out there to protect Yzerman.
Did he ever, man?
What's that?
And I said, did he ever? Oh, and Draper too. He got revenge. Anyway, playoffs. So what do we want to start? East or West?
Let's go East. You got Washington, Montreal. You got the Canes and the Devils. You got the Maple Leafs and the Senators, and you got the Lightning and the Panthers.
Yep.
Out of that group, who do you think gets upset in the first round?
History would tell you to be Toronto, right? Okay. That's what the last decade would tell you. Tampa's good.
Yeah, history would tell you that.
Yeah, Tampa's good.
Tampa is good.
Capitals are good. Now, let me ask you this. Because of that huge mile marker that was just made with most goals scored, did the Capitals have a letdown in the first round?
Well, I will tell you this. I got Montreal beating them.
You know what? You could see the Capitals, and that's a big mile. He's now the leading goal scorer in NHL history. That's a big emotional ride for the whole team. That might be enough.
In Montreal, put it in high gear the last 12, 15 games.
And,
they played as well as anybody in the league.
Being the Canadians, not having a Stanley Cup every other year is probably a thing up there. So there's probably a lot of pressure.
Not wanting to become the 51st state. That helps motivate them a little bit too. I think the Canadians upset Washington.
I think you're right. I would go with that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with that too. I think that's a good pick, because I think Carolina's good. I think they beat the Devils.
Carolina's really good.
Yeah, Toronto, Ottawa. I don't want to say, because they just don't know what to expect out of Toronto. Tampa's not going to lose to Florida, to the Panthers. Just not going
No.
to.
Well, remember, the Panthers are the reigning champions, and they went to the finals the last 2 years. That's another team that, for whatever reason, when the playoffs hit, they find another gear.
Yeah,
Now,
let's see how it goes. But that wouldn't really
I
be an
think it's
upset.
well, no, it wouldn't. And you got to remember this too, Tony. You're looking at an in-state rivalry too between the Light. Now, I agree with you. I like the Lightning. I like the Lightning a lot. But yeah, I think the Canes are the upset, or Montreal upsets in the first round. Who wins that side of it? I believe the Carolina Hurricanes
Do
do.
you really?
Obviously being here in Carolina, I get to watch them a lot, and that is one very solid team.
Okay.
Bad connection.
I'm going to go with you on
Tony,
that.
if you can hear me, oh, there we
I
go.
can hear you.
You can hear me. Yeah, you froze for a minute.
I
Hey,
don't lose you at all.
can you put your camera so your head's up a little higher?
There's a little peanut there. I liked it
Is that
that
better?
way.
Is that better?
Actually, go the other way. Wait,
Oh, the top of it down.
pull the top of it down, Eileen said.
Like that?
There you go. Perfect. That's way better.
And keep going.
It's good.
No, listen. Have them keep going.
Eileen said, keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
It's gonna fall over.
There you go.
Okay. Huh?
Right. A little bit more.
That's as
He
far
says
as I
he'll
can go,
fall
Ellie.
over. All right, there you go. That's a lot
Okay.
better. Your chin was getting cut off by the ribbon on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's probably which
All right.
chin?
So anyway,
Which chin?
yeah, no shit. Yeah, I think the Canes. I picked the Canes last year too, and they got right up to the final thing against the Panthers, and they lost it. But they've got goal scorers, they've got great defense, and they've got great goaltending. They've got everything. I truly believe that the Canes this year take the East. That's just
Okay.
my opinion.
Who you
Who
got
do you
coming out
think?
of the West?
Wait a minute. Who do you think for the East?
I think
Give
the
this your
Canadians
picks.
are gonna take it. I think the Canadians are gonna win the East.
Boy, wouldn't that be a hell of an upset?
Yeah.
Come from a wild card and go and run it.
Yeah.
But like I say, they've been playing really great.
Listen, I'm just
Okay.
I'm high on the Canadians right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the West. Who do you think is the biggest upset in the West? First round.
So probably Vegas is good, man. Vegas is really good. Okay, so they're not going to get
They are.
upset by anybody. In fact, I got them going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals.
So do I. Just so you know, that's
Pro-
exactly who I got going to.
Probably the Oilers over the Kings might be my best guess for an upset. You know,
Oilers over the Kings. Okay, I can see that. That's not who I have, but I can see it. Um,
do you have Avs over Dallas? Is that your upset?
I have Avs over Dallas.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
I do. I do. I think the Avs upset them. They're a good team again, a good team with a really good goalie. And as you said earlier, with where the Wings were concerned, and we know this from when they won championships, is a goalie can carry them through the playoffs.
Think about how many
Hernan
great
was the
goalies
best
Wings
example.
had.
Well, Hernan, or yeah,
Mike Vernon.
Vernon. I knew it. Vernon, to me, was the best example of carrying a team through the playoffs.
He
That
kicked
guy made
Patrick Roy's
saves
ass
during
too.
that year, standing on his head. You know, Hasek made some good, and Ozzy did too.
So Hasek
But I thought,
was probably the best goalie the Wings have ever had, right?
correct, but I think in the
He didn't
playoffs, I
really
think it
need.
was
If you,
Vernon.
if you remember though, he didn't really need to stand on his head because the team was so fucking good. You know,
Yeah.
that's when
Where
you had the Russian flag.
When Vernon was there, that was early, and Vernon did have to stand on his head at
Yeah,
times.
yeah. And if you
You
remember,
know,
it went Curtis Joseph, right? Then Vernon.
no,
Then
no, 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 no,
hold on.
no, no. When Scotty got there, it was Vernon first,
Okay.
and then Ozzie came along
Yep.
as a backup. Then in between there, then they got Hasek.
Yep.
Hasek left for his home country. They went and signed Curtis Joseph away from the Leafs at $8 million.
Oof.
And halfway through that season, Hasek decided he wanted to come back, and they brought him back, and we're paying both goalies $8 million each,
Yeah. That was Illich
which
though. That
was
was back.
insane.
That was back when Mike Illich ran shit.
Right, right. That was before
No
Chris got
salary
hold of
cap.
it. Right. He was like the Steinbrenner of the NHL.
He really
I mean, look at
was.
the guys he brought in. He brought in Hull. He brought in Shanahan. I mean, it was ridiculous. He
He
brought in
brought in
Brad
Scotty
Park at one
Bowman.
point.
You know,
Right.
Fetisov, Larionov. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's do this
Yeah.
just for fun. I know we're talking NHL players. Let's just do this for fun.
Well,
So he
let's start with
traded.
the first two that he. Let's start with the first two that he brought in, and one of them they brought over in a trunk of a car. Peter
Yep.
Klima in the trunk of a car out of
Yep.
Czechoslovakia,
Yep.
and they brought in a guy you may or may not remember him named Nordomensky.
I don't remember him.
Nordomensky scored about 40 goals a year. He was the very first one they brought over from Europe. He scored like 40 goals a year. Big left-handed shot, left winger, big guy, great big guy, big sissy. He didn't know how to play NHL. I mean, he got his ass handed to him all the time, but he was one hell of a puck handler and
They
scorer.
smuggled
You know,
Fedorov
that's what
over.
I'm. Well, you got Fedorov, you got
Not
Klima, you
quite
got
as extreme as
Larionov,
Peter
you got
Klima.
Constance, you got you know all those Russian players and Czechoslovakian players. And
We're
then
forgetting a huge
you,
player, by the way. We're not talking about a huge player. Lidstrom.
yeah, Lidstrom's another one.
You
Except
know,
they didn't have to sneak him out. He was allowed to come from Sweden,
well, he's from
but
Sweden.
but
So.
another great player. I mean, that team was so loaded. You and I could have probably coached them and won a
Seriously,
Stanley Cup. I mean,
seriously.
they were that good.
But there's more. Who was the guy that came later? He was a big. Oh, don't forget, man. We had Probert, we had McCarty, we had Koser. All through this decade, right? All these players.
Yeah,
We got a big tough guy from Toronto.
Grissom. Don't
No.
forget Grissom.
Oh yeah.
But Grissom was a headhunter, big
Yep.
time. That's all he could do. He couldn't score to save his butt.
Was anybody a better headhunter than Constantino?
Window, you
Wendell
talking
Clark.
Wendell Clark from
Wendell
Toronto?
Clark. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, McCarty was one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, and Joey Koser was another one. He was a little guy, but people hated him because he would take your head off. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a lot of guys who would stand people up. But anyway, let's get back to business here. So in the West, who do you see as the first, or who do you see as taking it all, going to the Stanley Cup?
Oh, Vegas. I got Vegas going.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm with you too. Vegas, and again, Vegas is that team that has another gear left.
Yep.
They just haven't turned it on yet. And when they do, look out. And they've got good goaltending on top of it. They got great
Yep.
defense. It's one of the best defensive, if not the best defensive team in the entire league. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. So I've got the Canes and Golden Knights. You've got the Canadians and the Golden Knights.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's talk what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Let me give you my 2 cents first. I believe Aaron Rodgers has screwed himself by being such an asshole for so many years that nobody wants to put up with his crap. So nobody's willing to pay him a huge contract to put up with his selfishness, and he's a selfish player.
He's
That's my
old,
opinion.
man. He's
Yeah, but
old.
you know what? there's old quarterbacks that win championships. You got Manning, you got Brady. I mean, come on, Brady went to Tampa and won it the first year. He was 42 years old. So old doesn't and he's not 40 yet. So old doesn't
I
float
mean, do
here.
you think he signs with the Steelers?
No, I think the Steelers are about done with this BS. Quite
Do you think he
frankly,
signs anywhere?
I'm going to say unless somebody misses big time, and I mean big time in the draft, and this is not a very good quarterback draft season. Okay, you're looking at maybe two coming out of the first round. The only team I see possibly signing him, and I say possibly, is the Cleveland Browns.
I have a
I
different
don't
opinion.
think Pittsburgh signs him. I think Minnesota's going to tell him to go blow wind. I don't think
Let,
any of them do. What do you
let
think?
me ask you this. If you're Minnesota and your future is J.J. McCarthy,
Yep.
what better mentor for a season can a guy like that have in Aaron Rodgers?
I disagree with you.
JJ's not ready, man. He's not ready.
Aaron, Aaron Rodgers is a selfish SOB.
He is. He is. But we're
So
asking for
so
1 year.
trying to get him to mentor anybody, good luck.
But that might be his
Because
thing.
he's too selfish.
Maybe.
No, listen. This guy was out for the entire first season. He was with the Jets after the fourth play of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. You did not see him on the sidelines during that season.
Well,
Ever.
with the Jets' new head coach, Aaron Rodgers is never staying there. He
No, no,
said it.
he ain't gonna put up with the shit.
He's gonna
100.
try to
Aaron
take
Glenn is not
that.
gonna put up with the shit.
Aaron Glenn's gonna try to take the Detroit Lions culture and
Mm-hmm.
duplicate it in New York. And having
That's
Aaron
wonderful.
Rodgers there is a suicide mission for him. So that was never. In fact,
Right.
I would bet you this. I would bet you that in the interview process, Aaron Glenn brought that up. Like, if you want
Oh,
me,
he
you
probably
can't be
did.
there. Yeah.
Well, here, let's go back to the mentoring thing, okay? Here you got a number 2 overall pick in Zach Wilson. Okay? He struggled because the old regime threw him into impossible situations. He was the perfect person for Aaron Rodgers to mentor, but he never was around to do it. He
Fair
spent
enough.
that entire season off the sideline.
But what do you make of
So I
this?
don't think I think Minnesota. I don't even think Minnesota takes a crack at him.
So let me throw this at you. With the Steelers, we'll go back to the
Yep.
Steelers a little bit. And then I'm going to give you my opinion on Aaron Rodgers and where I think he'll be next year.
Yeah.
There's some reports that DK Metcalf went to Pittsburgh, and that there was a
Yep.
throwing session with him and Aaron. So that means the Steelers are still kicking the tires. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. I don't think he's playing. I think he's done. I think he
He
announces
might
his
be.
retirement.
Like I told you, the only team I see signing him, and it's a long shot, is the Cleveland Browns. And the reason I say that, Watson just retore his Achilles. He's
No
done.
shit.
His career's over. Huh?
He sucked anyway last year.
No, no. But what I'm saying, the Achilles that he was healing, he just retore it again.
Yeah, he's done.
So he's done. He's a running quarterback. Not now.
But let me ask
So
you
who do
this,
they go
man.
out and sign? Well, they signed Joe Flacco.
It's a good signing.
That's their top guy right now. So if anybody's going to sign Rodgers in that owner who's from
He's
down
dumb
here
enough to
from
do it.
Tennessee,
He's dumb enough to
he's
do it.
dumb enough to do it because he makes some dumbass moves, and he is dumb enough to do it.
Does Aaron
So
Rodgers bring dollars to an organization just simply by
no,
the name?
it depends on where he goes. To New York, yes, but he didn't because he was a bust there. Um, No, I don't believe he does bring
Remember what a
dollars.
lion killer he was,
And
man?
hold on. Let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. Let's go back to Green Bay when Green Bay let him go. Green Bay had enough of his bullshit. They went with a young guy in Love, and he walked right in and filled his shoes. Now he goes to New York. New York doesn't want his bullshit after 2 years. Now he's acting like a jackass with other teams, especially Pittsburgh. You might be dead on, Tony. He may not sign with anybody, but it's not because he wants to retire. It's because nobody wants to put up
So
with his horse shit.
maybe what
The
happens to,
league's done.
yeah, he doesn't sign with anybody. Mid-season, he's on the couch. Somebody gets injured. He's going to come and
Yep.
play for a fraction of what he wanted. Maybe something like that.
I don't even see that, man,
I
because
don't
he's
even see
too
that either.
arrogant.
I'm just saying, I don't think he goes anywhere.
Look, I watched the same situation down here with Cam Newton. Okay. The league was tired of Cam Newton shit. So he signed, I forget who it was, he went and played 1 year for. Thought he was going to come back to Carolina. Carolina didn't want him. And what happened? He's on the outside looking in. Nobody wanted to sign him because he was a jackass.
Aaron Rodgers might be a Colin Kaepernick situation where the NFL has told team owners hands off. Don't fucking look at him. Don't even look at him. Look at Kaepernick. Didn't even get a tryout, man. Nothing.
Right.
So this may be so here's my thing, man.
Like, but wait a minute. Let me hold on. I want to bring something up about Kaepernick. Everybody misses this. Okay. And as a football coach and a football freak, you know I am. What people don't talk about is Harbaugh put Kaepernick in a couple, 3 games before the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew how to defend him. And he made it all the way to the Super Bowl and lost in the Super Bowl. The next year, he's the starter and he goes 2-14 as a starter and acts like an idiot. Okay. So acting like an idiot and going 2-14, if you're 14-2, you got a little bit better chance of acting like a jackass than if you're 2-14. And that's what nobody brings up, the fact that he was 2-14.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna look up his net worth. Let's see if he's really an idiot or not.
Well, I guarantee you he's worth millions.
20 million.
Yeah. All right, let's get off the Aaron Rodgers thing. Let's go to the Detroit Tigers. We're Detroit boys. Let's go to the Detroit Tigers.
I'm watching them play right now on mute.
Are you?
Yep.
Who's winning the game?
It just started. It's 3 pitches in.
What do you think of the Tigers so far?
I fucking love them, man. I fucking love them. I couldn't be more excited. I think the pitching staff is really, really good. I think they're pitching better than my expectations were to start the season. I'm ecstatic that they've gotten off this fast start. You know, they're scoring 5 runs a game. They're beating the shit out of teams. If you take the first series against the Dodgers out, they're 10-3. Think about that. I mean, they beat Milwaukee last night 9-1.
Yeah.
I mean, Milwaukee's not a bad team. So, you know,
well, they're right there. They were. I think they're 9-8 or something. They're right there with the Tigers.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. I know last year you weren't a big fan of AJ. Has that changed at all?
Yes and no. Okay. Yes, in the fact I was really impressed on what he did with the pitching staff to get into the playoffs.
Okay.
That was the most insane thing I have ever seen. And I got to take my hat off to him. I question him as the head of the organization when it comes to pitchers, because with him, we've had so many injured pitchers. And you got to question the fact, you know, this being a pitcher, you got to question the fact, are they doing something wrong that pitchers keep going down? Okay. Now, that being said, I'm extremely impressed with Mize this year, Casey Mize.
Yep.
I quite frankly, was surprised when he even made the team, let alone the starting rotation, and he's been dynamite. Okay, um, because of the injuries, Job you know, got a shot, and his last outing, he was off the chart.
Yeah.
The kid throws hard. He just, he's got to settle down. He's still a kid. He's nervous, but yeah, I agree with you. The only thing about the pitching staff that bothers me is we have no closer. And when you get
But
into
we
the
don't.
playoffs and
That's
stuff,
not necessarily the case, though. We just
that can
don't know who
haunt
the
you.
closer is.
Right now, we have no closer. That doesn't mean somebody will not emerge. I mean, we sent a guy who had 28 saves last year, was fifth in the league, and we sent him to the minors, and he's a veteran. That one really floored me. As far as what he's doing with all the injuries, which we're going to get into in a minute, with all the injuries and stuff, yeah, I'm becoming more of a AJ fan. I am. Last year, it drove me nuts when he put certain guys in games. He's doing one thing this year, which is a week and a half. Green has struggled. He went from hitting 350s down to 233 going into tonight's game. Okay, he hasn't hit shit in 10 days. He's striking out 2 or 3 times a game. At some point, you got to sit him down for three or 4 games. I grant you, they're shortening the outfield, but you got to let him work out his problems, because if you leave him in for too long, those problems are going to become second nature, and it's going to be that much harder to get through them and to get them worked out. That's just my.
I think
But
to your
other than
point.
that, uh, what's that?
No, I think to your point, it's important to let these young guys sit sometimes when they're struggling. Just sit,
Sit
chill out.
and get in the batting cage with the hitting coach. Look at film, see what's wrong. Listen, I can tell you one thing right now that's wrong with Green's swing. Riley Green right now has a super long swing. Just watch him. And everything's an uppercut, like he's trying to hit it out of the park. He needs to get off that shit. And that's what's happening to him right now. And because he's got such a super long swing, he's striking out like crazy. He's got to shorten up his swing, and he's got to get off the uppercut bullshit and get more to a level swing, and he'll be fine. He's a good hitter. But right now, those two things watch him hit tonight. Just watch him tonight. Those two things are starting to become second nature for him. Think about it. He's dropped 120 points on his batting average in 10 days. I don't think he's had a hit in 5, 6 games.
But that can
I
happen.
believe he's over.
I'll tell you what, though, I like the way
So,
AJ's using Baez.
I love the way he's using Baez.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Torkelson,
Absolutely. And I understand why AJ's playing Green right now, but it's a trick. It's a slippery slope because they're so short on the outfield, which we'll get into in a minute when we get into the injuries. I love the kid Dingler. I think he's going to be dynamite for years to come. Torkelson, love the story. Could be comeback player of the year if he keeps doing what he's been doing. Um, Even when he makes outs, he's hitting the ball hard, very hard.
he looks
He's like
comfortable.
third in the league with. Yeah, he's comfortable, and all he really did was opened up his stance a little bit. That was it, But it helped him that much more. Um, Colt Keith, he's having the sophomore jinx. I don't
Certainly.
think you send him down. I don't think you send him down, but I think you sit him on the bench and only play him in certain games while he works on his swing. And at his defense. I mean, hell, he threw an error against the Twins. He missed Torkelson at first base by 12 feet.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close.
Just let it go,
You
man.
know,
It happens.
but what I'm saying is right now he's a young kid. He's pushing really hard, and they know he's pushing hard. AJ said he's pressing himself. That's again when you need to sometimes sit him down, not for a game, sit him down for 2 or 3 games. Let him
As long
start
as he
working
knows he's
himself
coming
out.
back up, you can do that, right? As long as he knows he's coming
Well,
back.
No, I don't mean no. I don't mean send him down to Toledo. I mean sit his ass on the bench. Let him be
Oh,
with
I
the
got you.
team. Let him work through his stuff. Torres is back. You don't need Torres is an everyday player. This is the time. Torkelson's playing great. This is the time you sit AJ or AJ Colt, and when you sit him down, you don't make him the DH a game. You got Carpenter for that. Let Carpenter play against lefties for a while, and get Colt stuff worked out. Those are the two guys I think that they really right now they really need to concentrate on and not let them get hung up in bad habits because it'll be that much harder to get it out of them.
I'll
Other
buy
than
into
that,
that.
it's kind of where I'm at, man.
I'll buy into
Now
that.
let's talk injuries here for a minute, and then we're going to wrap it up. You've got I went down and just looked at the list just of guys who should be on the roster, most of them starters that are out. Okay, you got Meadows out till late May, early June. They're
Hmm.
saying right now. You got Perez out till late May.
Yep.
You got Rogers out till May, possibly June.
Yep.
You got Margot out, guy that they brought in to help the outfield. He's out. They don't even know how long. It's to be announced, which means they got him on a 10-day and they're probably going to put him on the 30. Okay.
Yep.
Then you got Alex Cobb, who they brought in for the rotation. He's out until towards the end of May. Um, Now that's a blessing in disguise because Job would have never got a chance to be on the roster, or at least as a starter, had Cobb been healthy. So that one's give or
I'd
take.
like to see. I'm
You
gonna
got
stop you for. I'd like to see them
yeah.
move Jackson Jobe to the closer position. Give him a shot at it
Oh, I agree with you. You
later
and
in
I
the
talked
season.
about that before. I
Yep.
agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. But he's got to get a little more control before they do that. Then you got Verling out. He's out till June.
Yep.
And you've got Lang, who's one of the studs in the bullpen. He's out till June. Now that's just those are guys who would be everyday players.
Yep.
Okay. Um that's a hell of a lot of injuries and they're not 10-day injuries.
And they're still winning.
Okay. And I mean that's hard to overcome. Then you go down to Toledo, where I didn't get into double A ball or whatever. Just Toledo. Pitching wise, we're okay. We got Chafin down there as a left-handed reliever who's done very well with us in the past. We got Foley, who was our leading save guy last year at 28. You got Manning sitting down there. You got Montero, who was he was the second starter last year at the end of the season. Um, and here's what's really weird: the Mudhens right now have one catcher on the roster. That's it. That's it. They brought this other guy up until Rogers is back. They have one catcher. If they lose that guy, they're going to have to bring somebody up from Double A or A ball.
I'm sure
Um,
they're ready for it.
on the outfield, all you got down there right now is you got Badu, and you know I'm not a fan of Badu.
No, and hold on.
Okay,
Let's go back to the catcher thing for a second. So Toledo
okay,
only having one catcher says to me that the organization doesn't want to move a double A or a high A catcher up to sit.
right,
So
right,
that
exactly.
means
I
they're
agree.
trying to get those guys as much playing time in double A and high A as they can get.
I agree 100%. But how odd is it for any team at any level, to only have one catcher on the roster?
It's true, but for all we know, they have a third
Yeah.
baseman like Avila who could emergency catch if needed be.
Well, they obviously they have to have somebody that can emergency catch.
Yeah, so
But
if I'm the
they're
Mudheads manager, right? If I'm the Tigers organization and I know that I got catchers in high A and double A that I know they need time. Like they need playing time. I'm not going to bring them up to Toledo to sit behind the starting catcher in Toledo. I'm gonna take my chances and make sure they're getting playing time.
if I'm Tiger management and I'm the manager of Toledo, I'm going to go find a veteran that's at the end of his career that we can sign to come into Toledo and catch and bring up to Detroit if necessary.
Pay him like the league
That's the
minimum.
kind of guy. What's that?
Pay him like the league minimum.
You're breaking up, buddy.
Like pay them like the league minimum. Like a veteran catcher
Yes.
that pay him the minimum. Okay. I'm not opposed to that either.
Yes. I mean, that's what I would do because it's dangerous to have just one catcher on the roster. Even if you have an emergency guy that plays third base that can catch, that's still dangerous. Now let's go to the infielders because this is pretty interesting. They only have one infielder who even has a chance of being ready to be in the majors, and that's Jung. Okay, that's it. If you look at the roster, he's the only guy ready to come up. Outfield, you got Badu, and you got the guy they just signed a week ago, Hicklin. Okay, and Hicklin would probably be the top guy to come up. That's it, man. So right now, because Detroit is so injury prone, Toledo's empty for the
Yeah.
most part, except for pitching. Toledo's got a shitload of good pitchers down there. But other than that, they're thin, man. They're really thin. And the thing is like I say, the Tigers, their injuries aren't 10-day injuries. These are 30, 60, 90-day injuries.
Yeah.
Thank God Torres came back. You got to remember Torres was on that list too up until the weekend. And let's hope he can stay healthy. Right now, the Tigers cannot afford another major injury.
They can't. Not this early.
And if they have it, here's the thing: if they have it, let's pray to God it's not Scooble or Flaherty, but let's pray to God it's a pitcher and not a positional player.
Listen,
Because
Scooble
they've
has
got
the
pitchers
history of
down
being
there.
injured.
What's that?
Scooble has the history of being injured. So we have to be very careful.
Yeah, I know. But like I say, it's I was looking at the roster in Toledo going, holy shit.
Yeah.
We have depleted Toledo because there's nothing left. If another outfielder goes out, think about this. McKinstry is playing right field consistently, and he's a utility infielder.
Yeah.
Now, he's doing a great job, and he's hitting right now, but he's a utility infielder. You will see, mark my words, you will see Baez to the outfield for a couple of games before this is over with. If he
And
keeps
I'm
hitting
fine
the
with
way
that.
he's hitting.
If he keeps hitting,
Right.
listen, here's my thing. I have this theory. If you have a player who's hitting the ball, you'll run the risk of putting him in right field because he's probably
100%.
only going to see 3 or 4 balls the whole game, and he might see one that has a little bit of difficulty to it, but he has 4 or 5 chances to change the game at the plate. So you can limit your mistakes defensively in right field if the bat's good enough.
Look, he looks great at third base.
And I
He
don't know.
looks and he looks great at short.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is still happening, but he was only playing against left-handed pitchers in the beginning.
Still happening.
Yeah.
Still happening.
So
I don't know
Dingler's
about
up right.
tonight's lineup. I think tonight. I think he's actually playing against the right-hander tonight. I think he's in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, well, listen, man, this has been a fun show.
I think it's a good one.
Technical difficulties, but it's been a good show. Eileen will cut out the technical stuff. Let's do it again next week. What's your
Let's try
schedule
to
look
stay
like?
consistent. Let's try to stay consistent on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I agree. All right,
Okay.
listen, hold on a second. You got to stay on. Remember, we got to download.
Oh yeah, okay.
This is America at Play, talking sports, and we are out.